God sent Jesus? What did he send him to do? And so tonight, as we start walking through it and we start becoming followers of Christ, the emphasis is living like Jesus. Jesus is the greatest example. Jesus is who we ought to be trying to look like, live like. And so we talked about this little thing about how in the 60s, I don't know if any of you remember the movie that came out in the 70s. It was called Jesus Christ Superstar. It ignited the hippies movement, and people were trying to look like what they thought Jesus looked like. So there was something of a revival. A lot of people were beginning to get interested in Jesus. In a decade of radical change, he seemed like an ideal role model. Young men, especially, even tried to look like him. They had their long hair, they grew beards, and even wore leather sandals. Some called them Jesus boots. But we can't fake it. Trying to look like Jesus just don't cut it. Paul tells us tonight, we got to know what God sent Jesus to do. So looking the part doesn't mean that you are actually living the part. So what does it mean to live like Jesus, to be like Jesus? That's the issue that I wanted to look at in this lesson. Notice Paul directs us to a specific situation he was addressing in this passage. In verses 1 through 4, Paul wanted believers in a first century city called Philippi to be less selfish and more loving, more compassionate, more joyful, and more united.